Does international humanitarian law protect prisoners of war? Recent events have brought the topic of international humanitarian law into the spotlight, particularly regarding the treatment of prisoners of war. As conflicts continue around the globe, many are asking, does international humanitarian law truly protect these individuals? This question is especially relevant in light of ongoing reports from war zones. Understanding the legal framework surrounding prisoners of war is essential for anyone interested in humanitarian issues. International humanitarian law, especially through the Geneva Conventions, provides clear protections for prisoners of war. The Third Geneva Convention of 1949 outlines the rights and treatment of these individuals during armed conflicts. It mandates humane treatment, prohibits torture and cruel treatment, and ensures access to adequate food, shelter, and medical care. Communication with families is also a right for prisoners of war under this law. The laws of armed conflict, which include the Geneva Conventions and their additional protocols, requiring all parties in a conflict to respect and protect individuals who are hors de combat, including prisoners of war. These laws specifically prohibit inhumane treatment and requiring respect for the dignity of all detainees. However, the reality on the ground often tells a different story. Reports from recent conflicts indicate that prisoners of war have faced serious violations of their rights. In the ongoing conflict involving Russia and Ukraine, there have been alarming accounts of torture and mistreatment of prisoners of war. These actions are clear violations of international humanitarian law. International organizations, such as the United Nations and the International Committee of the Red Cross, are calling for accountability. They emphasize the importance of adhering to legal standards that protect prisoners of war. Furthermore, international humanitarian law requires that humanitarian organizations be allowed access to monitor the treatment of prisoners of war. This access is vital for ensuring compliance with established legal standards. The protection of prisoners of war is part of a broader effort to limit suffering during armed conflict. It aims to safeguard those who are no longer participating in hostilities. While international humanitarian law does provide protections, the enforcement of these laws relies heavily on the commitment of the involved parties and the international community's vigilance. In summary, international humanitarian law does offer protections for prisoners of war through treaties like the Geneva Conventions. However, the effectiveness of these protections is contingent on the actions of those involved in the conflicts and the ongoing efforts to monitor and address violations.